Yo, yo. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Freedom marchers, freedom lovers, freedom fighters, and freedom family. Snapzilla Gorillas in the building, aka Tyrant's Bane, aka The Definition. We're going to get into this in this quick live stream. I'm going to be talking about the political party I want to start. I want to start a political party. This political party is going to be the answer to the left-right paradigm lie and break the chains. It's going to break chains. It's going to free minds, and it's going to bring awareness and understanding. And most importantly, it's going to help you reach the mountaintop of freedom. Notice I said mountaintop of freedom, not the plains of freedom, not the downward hill to freedom. No, we're talking about a mountaintop. And to get to the mountaintop, it takes a lot of work. You know, you're going up that steep cliffside, and you know you're liable to fall and break bones and cut yourself and have abrasions. Hell, you might even pass away. You might die. You might break your legs trying to climb that road to freedom, trying to climb that mountaintop. And this political party is going to allow you to start taking that march. That's what this is about, y'all. It's a political party to end all political parties on an individual basis. On an individual basis. So that means that each individual gets the ultimate right to choose. What is this party? I'm going to start with the name. Now, this is not really an introduction. I've actually talked about this political party that I wanted to start maybe like a year or two ago. I talked about it. So this is not the first time I talked about starting a political party, but it may be the first time for certain individuals who have never heard me talk about it before. So many of you have not been here a year ago. You guys weren't here a year ago. You guys weren't here the first time I talked about it, or a year or two ago. It's going to be called the opt-out party. All right? It's going to be called the opt-out party. Well, what does that mean, Snapzilla Gorilla? What do you mean opt-out? Well, I'll start by saying this. When you're born to parents in this country, what happens, right? I'm not talking about the physicality of it. I'm not talking about the actual birth and, you know, the breaking of the water and, you know, the labor. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what happens when you are born into this country of parents who are, you know, citizens of this country. What happens, right? What's the first thing that they do when they're parading all these people through your hospital room? Salute to you. Good morning, Melody. Good morning, Melody. What's the first thing that happens when you come into this world and they start parading people in and out of your wife's, you know, or your own hospital room? Well, they bring the picture lady, the lady that wants to take the pictures. They bring the insurance lady. The insurance lady comes through, and then there's the person that comes through for you to sign the birth records. Okay? You sign the live birth records. That is one thing that happens. And when you sign those live birth records as the mother and as the father, what you are doing in that particular state is you're assigning your child over to the state. That child becomes state property. You have co-ownership of your child with the state. That is what happens, the first thing. So immediately You do not, as you're born, you are forced to become state property. Okay, you're forced to become state property. Number one and first and foremost. Yes, that's what happens. So now you have a birth record that you sign, and then you take this birth record, you take it to the county, whatever the fuck, register and all this other stuff, and you are enlisting your child. You're registering your child. You're registering your child as a part of the state. They are wards of the state as soon as they're born and you sign that birth certificate. Just so you guys know that. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. When you're born and and you sign your child over, or your parents sign you over, and you get those birth certificates, you become state property. That's just a reality. So what happens when you become state property? Well, they own you, essentially, right? You are registered with the state. And then what do? You then have to take your birth records and all this other stuff, and you send it to the Social Security office. You send it to the Social Security office as a parent. As a child, you're not doing any of this. It's all being done for you. So now you become property of the federal government when you register your child through the Social Security office, and you get them a Social Security number and a Social Security card. They are now property of the federal government. And if you look on the back of that Social Security card, you'll see a serial number. It's different than your Social Security number. There's a serial number on the back of your Social Security card. That is the serial number that shows that you are a property of the state, property of the federal government. So now when you are born, before you even turn 1 month or 2 months old, you have become property of the state and property of the federal government. That means that you are beholden to them. That means that they rule over you. That means that they can control you. They own you. Aryan Blitzkrieg says bull. Okay. Tell me how it's not different. Tell me the truth then. So y'all love to come in here and tell me that I'm lying or I'm full of shit or I don't know what I'm talking about. Tell me what there is to talk about. Tell me what makes sense. Tell me what the non-bull is. Go ahead. You live in Louisiana, salute to you. From Louisiana. Salute to Louisiana. That is what happens. Tell me any different. Because now that you are property of the state and property of the federal government, you now owe them as their property. So that means that everything you do to earn money when you become an adult, even when you go to school, understand that when you go to school, real Shelton, salute to you. Shelton LDBC or nothing, salute to you. Good morning, brother. Understand that when you go to school, when you go to those institutions, you are doing what they want as their property. They are now going to shuffle you through the worker mill so that when you go and become an adult and go to work, they can extort you as they see fit. They can control you as they see fit. As long as you're within their lands, as long as you're within government-controlled land, which is basically the entire United States, outside of some sovereign land of Native Americans that they have shuffled together and placed in these strategic land and gave them fire, water, and just what they've done to the Native Americans is horrible. But like I was saying, you become property of the state, and once you become property of the state, you have to then go become property of the federal government. If you want your child to make it in this society, this is what you must do. Because I can tell you right now, I know people who did not get birth certificates and Social Security cards for their children when they were born. And they have children my age. And guess what happened? Guess what happened when they needed to do things like put their children in school, like fly their kids around, like take their kids out of the country when they needed to. They had to go get, guess what? Social Security numbers and some type of birth record. They had to prove live birth in the United States so that their children can become citizens. So unless you are off the grid and self-sufficient, guess what? If you don't, unless you don't need the government for not a damn thing, you're gonna end up getting your children those Social Security cards and those birth certificates. So as soon as you're born, you're not given the opportunity to decide whether or not you want to be part of the system. You are born into the system. You are placed within the system. You are registered into the system as property as soon as you're born, and your parents did this to you. Because guess what? That's what they were conditioned to do. That's what they were trained to do. That's normal in society. It's not their fault, right? This is what they don't know any different. Mind the man, Samusa, salute my brother. Yes, freedom ain't free. Absolutely. So when people believe that I'm delusional and that I have this, utopian idea what freedom is, absolutely not. I just understand that I prefer the openly dangerous freedom than, subdued, peaceful chains. That is still just as or even more dangerous than freedom. So you're not given the option, right? You're not given the option to opt out. You're not given the opportunity to opt out. This guy is stolen valor. How am I'm stolen valor? That doesn't even make any sense. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all something. Since this guy wants to come here and say I'm stolen valor, I'm gonna show y'all something. I'm stolen valor. I was indeed in the military, and I never lied about. Look, what does that say right there? What does that say? Steal that valor, motherfucker. Anyway, I have no reason to steal valor. But moving along. Salute to Melee all day, brother. Salute to you, brother. Welcome to the channel, man. It's good to see you up in here, man. I love it. I love when my boy Mayday comes through. Melee, my bad, Melee. Detroit Siggy, salute. Keyboard Warriors. Yes, this guy. Detroit Siggy says blacks have EE numbers on the back of the. Yeah. I was talking about the security, serial numbers. Matter of fact, I think I might have my Social Security number card. I have my Social Security card. I can show y'all the serial number if you guys, because they tell you don't carry your Social Security card around. I got my Social Security card right here. I'm not going to show you my Social Security number, but this right here, that is the serial number. Why do you need two numbers on your Social Security card? Why do you need two numbers on your Social Security card? Yes. Tell me how you steal valor and get a card like this. Tell me how you steal valor and get a card like this. God damn it. Tell me how you get a card like this and you steal valor. How you steal valor and get a card? I know it's kind of blurry. But this is, yeah, that's my VA card, y'all. This was issued, it expires in 2028. But anyway, y'all. Yeah, I steal valor though, right? Okay, Pimpin. Anyway, moving right along. So, when you're born, you're not given the option on whether or not you want to participate in this system. You're just forced to do so because your parents Well, they got to do it. I mean, it's really no option, right? If you want to, like I said, unless you live off the grid and you don't rely on anybody else outside of yourself. If you are self-sufficient and self-reliant and you don't need nothing from nobody within the government, or you don't need any government service whatsoever, then yeah, I can see. But as of right now, with this system we have, it's very difficult to do so. Because even if you own your land, if you own your land outright and you have solar panels, you have a well with an electric pump, and you have a septic tank, and you have a river and a lake nearby, and you got fishing that you can do on your land or just outside your land, and you can go hunt on your land, there is a thing known as eminent domain. Eminent domain, if you guys are not familiar with that. Where the government can take your property, if they so choose, for a fair market price. Fair market price, meaning they don't have to give you any profit on your property. They can find a way to force you off your land. Melee all day says people don't know about land and sea. They think literally, but it means something different to the government. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shelton says y'all some effing weirdos in here. Don't worry about Shelton. Don't worry about guys. Let me tell you, mods. Unless they're spamming or botting, don't even worry about it. It's gonna be much too difficult. It's much too difficult. Trust me. When you start getting into these things in regards to politics, and you shut down the left-right paradigm lie, this is what happens. This is what happens. He says I can't even read. See, you can't. I mean, it's too much nonsense. MF can barely read, and it shows. You poor people. See, this is what they do. Yes, the bot game in politics is crazy. So you opt out. You can't opt out, right? You have no recourse because you're born into the system. Well, now I want to introduce a party known as the opt-out party. And the opt-out party, right, once the opt-out party comes into the position to do so, you can opt out of government participation. You can opt out of government rulership. You can opt out of government services. So understand what that means. Understand what that means. If you opt out, you're a citizen right now, right? You were forced into citizenship. You were forced into opting in, right? Well, guess what? If you opt out, that means that 100% no government rule, but also no government services. That means that what? That means that they can't harass you. They can't pull you over. They can't do any of that. They can't do it. Right? They can't do it. They can't arrest you, right? Unless you are on their land or whatever, and if you're committing crimes against American government subjects, then yes, you can't just go around violating people because you opt out. No, opting out means that you opt out to mind your own goddamn business, and have other people not in your business that has no business being in your business. So that's what the opt-out party, that's the baseline of the opt-out party. You don't have to, you can remove yourself from the government. Okay? Until you need police. I'm glad you brought that up. What do you need the police for? Let's say someone's breaking into your house. Someone's breaking into your house and they try to rob you. And you're there. You're there. Where's the police officer? Help me understand. You guys have a police officer posted in your bed, one in a bedroom in your house? Is there a police officer next door? Is there a police officer posted on the roof? Is there a police officer parked in front of your house? Absolutely not. Who is the first line of defense for your own safety? Tell me that. What was it? What was it? Desiree Lopez, it says, is called anarchy. Yes, it is, Desiree, but you can't say that. Right? You can't present it like that because people get all haywire. Oh, anarchy. That means riots and Molotov cocktails and fires. No, that's not what anarchy means. But, you have to come at people and meet them where they're at. Nella Fear said, I could keep police force. I keep a police force in me closet. His name is Glock. Nellosphere has the right idea. Who is the first line of defense against an attacker against your person? You. Who is the first line of defense against anyone who would aggress on your children and your wife or your husband? You are. The police come, a few minutes later, after the damage is done, after you've already taken care of the problem, so they can come and do the investigation. That's what you need the police for. 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, when crimes are committed, police aren't there to prevent the crime. So miss me with that bullshit. But there are ways to deal with that, right? There are ways to deal with it. Am I talking about the Socialist Party? Oh, no. Hell no. Exactly. Take out the MAGA trash. You are the only line of defense that you can count on. Absolument. Dale Moore says you can't use the interstates or state county roads. I'm glad you brought that up. Because guess what? In the opt-out party, all those things are accounted for. County roads, interstate commerce, interstate crossings, all those things are accounted for with the opt-out party. Free America from APAC. Free America from all PACs. Free America from all special interest groups. Free America from the government. Dude, you didn't listen to sit in your car and talk to yourself all day because nobody gives a shit. Okay, DT, but you're here listening to me talk. Can y'all make sense, please? You telling me I'm talking to myself, but there are almost 300 people in my live chat. Half maybe bots, and 2/3 might be trolls. But every time I do these lives, I get over 10 to 20 subscribers. And guess what? That is my mission. My mission is to sift through the bullshit and get more people on board the idea of freedom. So, with the opt-out party, all these things that you guys are concerned about, hospitals and police officers and bridges and all this bullshit, interstate roads, and that's accounted for with the opt-out party. Because when you choose to opt out, land and all those things are accounted for with the opt-out party. Because guess what? The land, the roads, the police officers, the hospitals, the fire department, guess who paid for that? Guess who paid for it? Anthony Goodley says, identified as not BS. Salute to Anthony. Anthony Goodley. You have a check. What does that mean when you have a check? PGH Big Dog, salute to you, brother. Ralph Perry said, free America from Trump. Free America from Trump. Free America from the Republican Party. Free America from the Democratic Party. Free America from all these motherfuckers. So when you opt out, guess what happens? All these things that we paid for, the roads, the military, the bridges, all this other shit, we paid for that. The government, all they did was take our money and put it to where they felt like we needed it. Well, guess what? You get what is known as reparations when you opt out. When you opt out, you get reparations. And you get the ability to travel freely across the country. as you see fit. Because guess what? As you were opted in when you were born, you became state property, you became you became federal property, you started working, you paid into all these things through extortion. Guess what? It's still yours. It's still yours. So guess what that means? You get to use these bridges and these roads. Not necessarily the police, right? If you don't want them to bother you. Now, here's the thing. All that federal land that they just decide to keep for themselves, and when you decide to go be one with nature, they force you to pay a license for it. All that gets freed up. All that gets freed up. So when you opt out, you get to go and stake out go get some land. The federal government will have to release it. The state governments will have to release all those acres and thousands of acres of federally and state controlled land. And you get to, when you opt out, you get a parcel of land and you get a big fat check. Yes, you get a big fat check. You get to take that money and you get to set yourself up. And you can get to go mind your own business. You go get your land. You got your money. You can start building on your land. You can do what you want on your land. And as long as what you're doing on your land does not affect anyone else outside your land and the land outside your land, have at it. No, your taxes don't go up. Taxes go bye-bye. Just like PPP loans. These guys, y'all are interesting. Kim Randolph says, keep dreaming. You know, that's what they told the founding fathers who framed the Constitution. They told them to keep dreaming, didn't they? When they wanted to start that Revolutionary War against the king, they were told to keep dreaming in so many words. Marble brain mentality. Okay. I'm glad you bring that up, Brenda Lynn Picky. The land belongs to the Native Americans that was stolen, not your, unless you are a Native American. I am Native American. Now, the original indigenous folks, they get first dibs at their land. They get first dibs. So, understand that over hundreds of years, and you have generations and generations and generations of folks that live in this land, you are now native, bottom line. Because when the land was created by nature or by God, well, the people weren't created at the same time. They weren't. And the Native Americans understood that the land didn't belong to them and that they were one with the land. They were one with the land. The land didn't necessarily belong to them. They were one with the land, and they had the capabilities and to travel amongst the land. And if they encountered other tribes and they got the clashing, that's just what it was. Being one with the land, it is understood that there are dangers within the land that you have to fight to survive against. This is the bottom line. I really need to educate myself. All right, give me an education. Give me an education. Shelton says, I see what you're saying. Oh, did you say something before, Shelton? Anthony Goodley says, nowadays you need 100,000 subscribers to get verified checkmark. My account is OG, so it used to mean something different. I got you, brother. Okay, so you certified up in here. Bernard Wall, yeah, technically we are now indigenous. I mean, well, I have Native American blood in me. I have Native American blood in me and African blood. And some European blood from my grandmother. It is what it is. The bottom line is, my family has been on this land for thousands of years. My bloodline goes back, homie. But the point is, you opt out. So would you rather the people? Would you rather free individuals occupy the land, the rich land that is available? Because we only, 95% of the United States is unoccupied rural open space. So would you rather the government control it and make you pay for a license and permission slips to go and enjoy it? Or would you rather free individuals go and make use of that land? And then that way we can break this delusion and illusion that the world is overpopulated. Because that's another lie they tell you. That's another lie they tell you. Desiree Lopez says beautiful. What's beautiful? I believe the idea is beautiful of opting out. Burla Dome says, I'd rather people stay the hell out of it and leave it be. But here's the problem. Before industrialization, people were all over the land. They just moved around as they saw fit and moved with the seasons, right? The seasons dictate where they went. There's nothing wrong with people occupying land. That we have to. We have to. You're on land right now. You know that, Desiree, you're standing on land right now. You're occupying land right now. I'm occupying land. It's just government controlled. We are in the land. What are we talking about? You can't be human on earth without being on land. No, what you need is the right state of mind on that land. Be one with the land. Give to the land as you take from it. That's the point. So we already occupy land. It's just developed. It's just industrialized. So you're saying you rather people stay. Well, then you might as well call for the extinction of the human being on earth. Freedom stand for freedom domination, free domination. I don't know. That's not what that, not even a little bit. Free domination? No. What do you think about the new president of Syria? I need to look into that. I don't know anything about the new president of Syria. But because you asked, I think I'm going to look that up because it might be interesting. You can buy dirt. Sandra, I know. The chat is wild, right? The chat is wild. Brenda Olympicky says, so how you're using the car is completely opposite. If you opt out, what are you talking about? Brenda Lippicky. Who built this car? What are you talking about? How is using the car not opting out? Do you guys understand what y'all be saying? Goodness gracious alive. Who built this car? Who paid for this car? Well, Toyota built this car. I paid for the car. So I had the option to buy the car, and Toyota had the option to sell it to me. What? No, I did not. What? So what does that mean? That means that I had the option to not buy the car, and Toyota had the option not to sell it to me. What are you talking about? The government has nothing to do with my purchase of this vehicle. I did, and Toyota did. Two private entities. Two private entities were involved in this transaction of me buying the car. Do you know when the government stepped in? When they said, "Oh, you got to give $500 some to the state for this purchase." That was it. So if I opted out, let's say I opted out, guess what? I wouldn't have to give the government $500. I would have saved $560. See how that works? If I opt out, I save money. Oh, but what about the roads? I built the roads. You built the roads. All 327 of y'all built the roads. Those are our roads. Absolutely, those are our roads. We built those. We pay for them to be built. The government just took the money from us and put it toward that. Do y'all not understand that? We can still pay for these roads. We can still pay for the maintenance of them. We can still pay for hospitals. We just got to pay the private organizations that develop the land to build the hospital, to house them, to put the workers in there, to pay for the doctors, to pay for the nurses and the orderlies. All we got to do is just cut the middleman out and pay them ourselves. I'm goofy, but tell me why I'm goofy. Entirely Queen says we finance everything. Absolutely. Bottom line to it. Desiree Lopez says community money. I hear you. I mean, yes, essentially, if you decide to do that. If you want, so here's the options. The options are you can opt out of the government and go occupy some land by yourself. You can go mind your own business. Or you can create the option to start your own smaller communities and have smaller governments or smaller whatever y'all want to do in your own little sanctity of your own community. And you guys can band together and pay for whatever you need to pay for. You can have treaties and trade agreements with other communities across the country for interstate commerce, for anything that you want, trade, whatever. And eventually that's what I'm getting down to. Is that if you present people the option to opt out, but you help them understand, well, you won't be destitute if you opt out. You get to go get some land, you get your reparations, you get a nice big little check, a nice big check, and you get the resources, and you can set yourself up to be self-sufficient. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, oh, let's just go throw a stick on our back with a bag and just go. No. We paid into this. You're paying into the system right now. I work. I have a job. I pay into the system every goddamn week. I pay. You pay. Everybody pays. Everybody has a job. Good morning, Elsa Olsen. I remember seeing you before. Why are you paying into this? Why are you paying into what? Too Good says reparations. You were never a slave. No, Shelton, don't do that. See, I was going to use him to educate. So, but he said reparations. You're not a slave. Well, you do understand that reparations aren't only for slaves. You ever heard of restitution? Restitution is a form of reparations. So let's say you steal from a store and you vandalize a store. You take a $10,000 worth of shit. Well, they will arrest you once they find you, and they don't only place you under arrest. You have to pay what is known as restitution to the store owner. That is a form of reparations. What you're doing is you're financially repairing the damage that was caused by your criminal act. That is reparations. That is restitution. You don't have to be a slave to get restitution or reparations. You just have to have damages. When you sue people for damages and they pay you, those are reparations. Bottom line. But we are slaves, because the minute you're born, you are sold, right? You're not even sold. You're given for free by your parents to the government. So, after years and years of institutionalization through the school system, and years of extortion from your paycheck, you are a slave to the government, point blank and period. What I'm talking about is an option to free the chains and getting the reparations. See, this is what's supposed to happen to the original slaves, the chattel slaves. The chattel slaves that, that just ended, the chattel slavery that just ended 200 years ago, less than 200 years ago. They were supposed to be given reparations so that when they set out on their own and were freed, they were able to use the resources from those reparations to build for themselves and be self-sufficient. That's essentially what reparations are for. CJ says, yeah, and look how good you have it. You know why we have it good in this country? You know why this is the best country in the world? And I actually believe that, because this is the best tyrannical country in the world. And all governments are tyrannical. So every country that has a tyrannical government, this is essentially the best. Do you know why it's the best? You know why I have it good? Because I pay into it. Because you pay into it. Because the people pay into it. The government, again, they just use our money to pay for these services that they say we need from them. We make it good for ourselves. And so if we have it good, it's because of us, not because of the government. Do you feel the United States is a good country? You have to define good. Relative to what? Good in general, or good relative to another country? In relation to what? Because you gotta break it down like that. Because the United States is a corporation that is ran by a central government. That inherently is not good. But relative to other countries that have worse governments and that don't even present the illusion that they're not dictators and tyrants, in that way, yes, we are good in relation to other countries that decide not to hide their tyranny. Whereas within the United States, because of the Constitution and how it's framed, and because of how it was all set up, we believe that this is the best country on earth, and it probably is. But it's only because we enjoy some freedoms that other countries don't have, that they constantly are trying to take away from us, piece by piece. So that's really what it is. Shelton out here knocking people off, boy. Bill the Butcher says it's an illusion of freedom. What's the illusion of freedom? Communism has never been impacted in the world. Okay? The government wants to own you, Olsen says. The government does own you. Karen Garcia says the problem is you're lazy. You don't want to work, right? You just want to take money from people and actually do, and we are not giving into. Oh boy. I am not lazy. You're saying I'm lazy, but I've been working for, let's say, almost 30 years as an electrician, as a skilled laborer who works with his hands. But see, these are the talking points of statists who have cognitive dissonance, that suffer from cognitive dissonance. It's okay though, because she's saying that because I'm saying that we get reparations when we opt out, but we paid into it. We pay into it. Why should not we get reparations when we decide to opt out? What are you talking about? Elsa Olsen says best tyrannical country. Absolutely, because all countries ran by governments are tyrannical. And if you're not in a country ran by a tyrannical government, then you're not in a country. You're just living as, living as free individuals on your land. There is no government trying to tell you what you can and can't do and extract resources from you. I understand. Look, I understand when I present this stuff, you guys, man, it just drives y'all crazy, because it's like, well, I can't argue against him because he's not speaking from the left-right paradigm mindset. And so discombobulation. I understand. The synapses aren't firing. It doesn't make sense to y'all. Well, what does he mean opt out? Well, what does he mean? What does he mean? What does he mean? Reparations? Well, you're not a slave. I get it, but you don't understand what words mean. That's why you say stuff like that. Y'all think reparations means that you were a slave. Do you know the Japanese internment victims of World War II right here in the United States? They snatched up a bunch of Japanese and put them in internment camps. They got reparations. Did you know that? But they weren't slaves. They weren't slaves. The Jews, they weren't slaves either. They got reparations. Do you guys even know what you're talking about? Scribblebite says, okay. He's an electrician. Okay. Oh, good Lord. The Age of the Awakening says the most beautiful countries have the most corrupt governments and the most economic problems. Absolutely. Bipolar Bear, if you were here, you said, okay, yes, the government, I say the government owns us. In what way specifically? Well, if you were here from the beginning, when I explained to you that when you're born, you are given, your parents sign the birth records, then you have to take those birth records to the state so they can give you a birth certificate. You are now registered to the state as a piece of property. And when you get your Social Security card, you are now registered with the federal government as property. That's how. Burla Dome says, MF said he works hard, is an electrician. Okay. Am I proud to be an American? That's an interesting question, because technically I'm an American because I was born here and my parents were born here. And my parents were born here. That is not something I accomplished. It's just something I was born into. So why would I be proud of that? Julie the therapist says, Trumpers have serious cognitive dissonance. Man, don't they? Former electrician here, and nobody works harder. I ain't worried about Donald Ryan. You know what's good? Hey, I'm gonna show you. Where's my work on? Oh, I can show y'all what we put in the ground. I can show y'all. See, y'all think electricians what? Just tinker with wires? Okay. Okay. We'll show you. Listen. This is what we do. We had to dig that up and put that in the ground. Okay? See that? That's what electricians do. This is work. This is the end product. Y'all didn't see what had to be done to actually get this in the ground. And this is later, when they pour the concrete on it. That's work. This is a product of time and laboring energies. Yeah. Yep. This right here, that's work. That right there, that's work. This right here is work, Pippin. Yeah. This is what we do. This is just in the ground. This is just shit that's in the ground, y'all. There's still a building that goes up. There's a building that goes up. And we got to do more shit. Yeah, this is what happens. See, I plan the work. I plan the work so that my guys can get the work in. So y'all don't see this shit. When y'all are in the building enjoying your comfortable electricity, enjoying your air conditioning, enjoying your televisions, your fans, your computers, your video games, your internet. This is the shit you don't see that goes in the ground and in the walls and in the electric rooms. But see, the government didn't build this. I did this shit with 4 guys. Me and 4 men put this shit in the ground, and later, guess what? When they poured the slab already. When they poured the slab and they put the walls up, right? See, these are floor boxes that we put in so that people who sit at desk and type all day can plug their computers in. But this is the shit you don't see. This is the work product that makes shit do what it do, pimpin'. This is fucking work. I don't need the government to do this. I did this shit myself. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it takes some thinking. You gotta make sure, you gotta make sure this shit's in the right spot. Yeah, you gotta make sure that shit goes up in the right spot. So that when they put the slab in and they build the walls around it, it's in the right spot. That's called work as well. Because you got to think. You got to plan. You got to measure. You got to know math. And when they do this shit to your pipes when they pour the concrete and they fuck your shit up, you got to figure out how to get the little bits of concrete out of your pipe. Because if you pull it with that concrete in there, guess what's going to happen? It's going to tear your shit all the way up. This is the shit y'all don't see. This is fucking work. Oh, yeah. See, I don't need to whine and complain about what y'all are saying. See, I can just show you what the fuck I do. See, this is after they poured. Those are the floor boxes. Guess what? You think they care about our floor boxes? No, they'll bury it a little bit. You see? Now we got to go in there and chip away the concrete to expose the floor boxes to put what is known as trim inside. The trim is the shit you see on top of the carpet. Y'all don't see this shit unless you're in construction. And those of you who are in construction, you know what the hell I'm talking about. See, that is the work product. That's what I do. I make it happen, Captain. I do that, and guess what happens? When I get my money, when they pay me for that good work product, guess who takes their cut? No government worker. Nobody in government was there helping me put this shit in. But they think they can take my money for it. No, let me get a cut. You didn't do shit. I did that. Me and 4 guys. Oh, I'm a whiner? Because now you can't say shit about me not working. Salute, Jutt. I'm a whiner now that I can prove that I work for a living. Anarchy Television, salute to you, brother. Y'all mad because I work now. First you said, oh, you don't work. Y'all telling me I don't work. Oh, you don't work. When I show you I work. Oh, you a whiner. Man, y'all are interesting people. Anarchy Television says you're under state and martial law occupied by a foreign corporation called the United States. Facts. Look it up. USC 3002. 15A. It's in there. Y'all think this is a fucking game? No, the opt-out party gives you the ability to remove yourself and form your own smaller communities or strike out on your own and be self-sufficient. All it does is give you the option to remove the government from your life as it stands. Do I support the U.S. flag? Why would I support a flag? Why would I? Oh, shoot. Somebody dropped the super chat. Mike Gillerin. Salute to you, brother. Thank you. Sparky Supremacy. Hell yeah, writer. Facts. I mean, tell me, y'all. The government didn't help me put that shit in. Nobody in government came over there to do anything. All they did was stamp the goddamn drawings, right? The guy, the engineer that works for the state, that works for the county of that county. All he did was stamp it and say, okay, permitted drawings. That's what they're called. That means you had to get the permission to build. Leo Calhoun says, yes, sir, that's work. Facts. You saw a huge Confederate flag yesterday? I'm just saying, y'all. The Age of Awakening says, or would you rather have a president who's a badass, kick-ass kind of guy who nobody fucks with and you'll grow up old knowing that you're always safe? Which president is doing that? Which president has ever done that? I don't understand. Age of Awakening says sometimes you have to be the villain. Sometimes. Yes, thank you, Mike. Mike Gillerin says, again, he drops another super chat. During the Civil War, government spending of GOP was 4%, and we abolished slavery. Lord Byron charged his serfs 33%. Today, the U.S. government spending is 35% of GDP. This is not the road to serfdom. We've arrived. Good points. Good points. Anarchy Television says the government is a religion. People need to stop believing in this religion called government. Government is always the aggressors and the problem. Facts. Big facts. Leo Cajon, yeah, it's all good. It's all good, Leo. MDW says nothing here is dumb. Not you or me. Don't buy into the arguing in division. Oh yeah, I don't buy into it, but I like to highlight it because when you're out there in the world, this is like the real world where you run into people that that are of like mind and understand, and then you run into the people, well, they're like some of these people in the chat. And sometimes you have to highlight the cognitive dissonance and the ignorance and the hypocrisy and the lack of understanding. And then now you can educate. Nellosphere says, voting is the illusion of choice for national platforms. Absolutely. Oh, MDW says, I asked a question. I asked the brother a question. He is entitled to believe in what he wants. That's what the beauty of our country. Well, that's the beauty of individuality. That is it's not a country does not imbue you with that freedom. No, it's inherent. You have the inherent capability of believing what you want, just simply because you're a human being. But see, there are entities and people out there that try to take away your ability to choose for yourself what you want to do and what you believe in. They try to force beliefs on you, and they try to force and foist their rulership and their tyranny onto you. That's where the problem comes in the name of country. Trill Will, LDBC or nothing. Salute to you, my brother. Salute to you. Y'all go check out Trill Will. Oh, and I think I saw Stray Godzilla in here sniping people. And also Anarchy Television was in here. Is in here. Y'all drop your links. Brother Shelton as well. Brother Shelton has the some of the funniest memes on earth. Nellosphere says local government votes are much more weighted. Yes, I agree. So, in my opinion, it should be broken. That's how it should be broken down to the smallest of local governments for those who choose to participate in that. That way, what they do and what they choose to do within their local communities does not affect other people outside of it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So again, like I said earlier, you break everything down. Now there are going to be people that are going to choose to have some form of government or some type of community thing going on. That's perfectly fine. But give people the option. If they like what you got going on, they can stay. If they don't like it, they can move along. They can go somewhere else. It's called volunteerism. So the problem is when you force people to participate in your system at birth. So therefore, when you opt out, you're deciding what you want to do with yourself and what ideology you choose to go with. So if you find a community that has your ideology and everything is cool, you can go and decide to do that. If you decide, well, you want to strike out on your own and build something for yourself, and you don't want to rely on anybody, and you don't want nobody in your business, and you don't want to be in anybody else's business, you have the choice to go do that. That is the beauty of volunteerism and opting out. And like I said, smaller communities, they can have interstate, they can have trade, they can have whatever they want to do. They can have treaties, to keep it all copacetic. And there's a lot of work that would have to go into it, right? Because we got a huge government, we have a huge military, we have all these federal entities that has to be destructed, right? Destructed is the term I'm going to use. Now, I'm not going to say destroyed. I'm going to say destructed or deconstructed, right? And then, of course, there are things that you have to concern yourself with, right? Because once you break the government down and decentralize it and give the states its powers back and then break it down further from there to the smallest of communities, right down to the individual, there are going to be things that are going to happen. There's going to be a lot of vacuums. So in order to prevent that, you're going to have the military is going to have to remain in place to protect the borders and to ensure that other nations don't try to take advantage of what's going on, because they will. They'll say, oh shit, look what's going on over there. This is the perfect opportunity for us to strike. Well, you have to keep the military in place to prevent that. You got to keep certain things in place. I understand. I'm not illusional over here. It's hard work. It's gonna be hard work. It's not easy. It's not a utopia. It's not a fantasy. It's none of that. It's dangerous. Freedom is dangerous, right? Freedom is the most openly dangerous thing in the world but what happens is you have an awareness of the danger. You're aware of the dangers, right? You're not disillusioned. You understand that you are on your own. You have to rely on yourself or your family or your community. And you understand that none of this is, a lot of things aren't going to be as available to you as they once were. And that's one of the realities of freedom. But the beauty of freedom is, which trumps that, is the ability for you to act as you see fit in the face of that danger. Right? You get to live your life as you see fit in the face of that danger and prepare yourself as you see fit in the face of that danger. That's the beauty of freedom. MDW says we can start a family here. We can provide for our families. Hard work pays off in this country. You can do that without government. You can do whatever you want without government. You can start a business. You can provide for your families without government. You don't need a government for that. I don't know if that's what you're arguing for. Stray Godzilla says every good idea is destroyed, so how are we free? Well, we're not. Nellosphere says utopia means that you contribute to society. Well, then I don't want utopia forced onto me. Right? You contribute to society that you decide to participate in. So if you volunteer to participate in that society, then of course you have to contribute, right? You have to contribute. You can't just go there and just enjoy all the spoils that the community provides and not do shit. No. It should be understood that if you come to this community, you're going to contribute. That's how it's supposed to work. That's not utopia. That's just normal shit. Utopia doesn't exist. That's the whole problem with you people. You're looking for a utopia nobody has found, and yet it never doesn't exist. Get over it. It's hard. Life is hard. And the age of awakening, that's absolutely true. Utopia doesn't exist. That's why I'm not arguing for utopia. I'm arguing for freedom. Freedom is not utopia. Freedom is freedom is dangerous. Freedom is rough. It is what it is. That's utopia. You have to give account for your time. Opting in at birth, that's basically like Social Security. That's your safety net for when you get old, dude. It's okay to be a part of the Social Security system. It's there to help you. Oh boy. Man, oh man. No, Social Security is not a safety net. It won't be for me, because by the time I'm old enough to draw Social Security, it won't be there. So how is that a safety net? What was it? You know what's a safety net? Building a business that brings you revenue. Building something, building a legacy that is all yours, that you don't have to rely on the government to provide for you. Look at the elderly people who live on Social Security. It's a fixed income, and they're struggling. There's not much they can do with. If they don't have something else outside of Social Security, you're not living on Social Security. You're just existing. If that's what you're going to rely on. But if you build something that is going to reward you when you retire, to the point where you don't have to worry about a fixed income that will reward you even if you're not working any longer, that is your safety net. What you build into it for yourself, not what you put into a huge pot that the government controls. The government controls Social Security. It's an unfunded liability. Do you know what a liability is? A liability is a negative. It's not an asset. Social Security is not an asset. Social Security you have to put into. It is debt. Nothing that you understand what I'm saying? They extract from you. They extract from you to put into Social Security. So if you, that's community, right? So you talking about community. So if you have a community of individuals that have elderly people, they can decide to take care of those elderly people until they pass away, to make them comfortable, to give them a life to live, to make them happy, to allow them to continue to move and be healthy. You don't need Social Security for that. You just need the community to take care of the elderly and respect them. So you can take care of your own elderly people without Social Security. The community can do it. The families can do it. It is what it is. Goodness gracious alive. The Age of Awakening says you should be doing research instead of spouting off a bunch of bullshit you don't know anything about. The Age of Awakening is projecting. So much of America is poor. I'm poor. I'm fucking broke. I'm going to need Social Security. Bruh. If that's your mentality, then you're going to be broke when you get Social Security. Understand that, Age of Awakening. If that's your mentality, even if Social Security is around by the time you are old enough to draw it, Social Security ain't gonna help you. It ain't gonna help you. You're gonna be broke with Social Security. That's your fault. That's your fault. If you're living your life to get to an age to draw Social Security, and that's what you're gonna rely on, that's your problem right there. That's not my problem. That's a you problem. Ooh-wee. Anarchy Television says, Chris, everything is debt. Even the country currency in your pocket is debt. Yes. The government went bankrupt and made you collateral for a surety for that debt. Facts. Anarchy Television. But dude, most of America don't even earn enough to even think about having a Christmas club bank. Now you're trolling. Now you're trolling. Okay, he trolling. All right, I'm done with that guy. Age of sheep is just looking for an argument. Yes, true, Will. Absolutely. I am a 68-year-old Navy veteran, retired. My veteran check at Social Security check is $7,100 a month. What do I need to do in the next 10 years to live a better lifestyle? I live in California. You live in California and you make $7,100 a month. Now, just so y'all know, he's talking about VA disability and Social Security put together. So he might be 100% disabled and have a full Social Security check. Now, if you're making that much money, but you live in California, you need to leave California. Leave California and go live somewhere where that $7,100 will will stress you further. There are people working right now that don't make $7,100 a month. So take that $7,100 a month you getting, and if you're single, let's say you're single or whatever, and you're, I don't know the level of your disability, why not get a camper and go, if you can drive and go visit different states? I would get the hell out of California. I left California. Real shit. Mind the Mansa Musa says he broke because he on his page smoking meth. Fentanyl and pure dookie, so stay broke. Yeah. If you are living your life and you have a broke mentality, if you have a broke mentality and you live in your life and you saying, oh, I need Social Security, I need it, I'm broke right now, so I need it, then that's your problem. That ain't my problem. See, this is what I'm saying. It's not my problem. Why should I have to continue to pay into Social Security because you have a broke mentality? That ain't my problem. What was it? 7 years old, you lose your fortune, and then, oh goodness gracious, Social Security is not going to be there. What's the problem? What are you talking about? And if it is there, then I would be drawing it. What are you talking about? Whether or not I had a fortune. Good old graciousness. I'm done with you, bro. I'm done talking to you because you just wasting time. Anarchy Television says, fuck Israel. Israel is not an ally with the American people. Facts. Yes, Leo Calhoun. That's called strategic deterrence, keeping in the military in place. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And once you break the central government down, yes, you have to keep the military in place. And guess what? The men and women in the military, they volunteered, knowing that they would have to give up many of their rights, just like I did. Oh, that's right, I have stolen valor. Right? Oh, so much so that they decided to give me this card. Anyway, so when you sign up for the military, you're actually volunteering as an adult. You're making an adult decision. I agree with militaries as a deterrence. So you keep the military in place, and you might have to keep the military in place in perpetuity because we've already created enough enemies around the world that want to destroy us. But that shouldn't stop us from wanting to be free. So guess what? We're going to have to do something. And there are good people out there that will still choose to sign up and volunteer to be in the military to keep the people within it safe. Trillwell, salute to you, brother. You're a veteran as well. What? Where were you? What branch were you? I was Army. I was at 11 Mike. Anyway, guys, let me get up in this doctor's office, man. I've been on much longer than I was expecting, but hey, man, it's always great to get in here and speak with you guys and, have everyone come to an understanding, man. Like, and that understanding is what? In the opt-out party, you get to decide. You get to decide whether you stay under government control. You get to decide whether you want to swarm. The Marines. Oh, you was a wild one, huh? You was a wild, yeah, you was wild. That shit was too wild for me. I said, oh no, hell no. Anyway, you know, that's what it's about. It's about, you know, if you, it's about being given the option, and then when you make your decision to opt out, you get your reparations. You get, you get an opportunity to stake out uh, federally controlled land or state controlled land, and you go and you get your reparations. You get to set yourself up to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and have the government stay out of your fucking business. Or you can take some of that land and you can form communities with other people that are of like mind, that y'all mind your own business, and nobody gets in your business. There's no eminent domain. The popo can't show up. They can't come ask questions. What you doing in there? What you got going on in there? No, ain't none of that going on. No, stay out my fucking business. That's really what it's about. It's about being given the option, man. Let people choose. Let people choose. And then you break it down from there, man. But anyway, it's something that has to be formulated. It's something that has to be hashed out. This opt-out party is something that has to be brainstormed, and I would love to have other people join me in helping form an actual structure for it to present to people, right? To make it an actual official political party, to not even necessarily to win in office or get in a position of power, but to spread the message of freedom and let them know that the Constitution talks about consent of the governed. Consent of the governed. So when you're born with and given a birth certificate, when you're born and given a Social Security card, you're not giving your consent. Your parents are giving the consent. You were not given the ability to consent to be governed, and that's the whole point. Let us consent. Let us give us the option, and that's what it is. Mike Stu says huge things, bro. Oh, they're in Africa doing huge things. Oh, they're always doing huge things in Africa. No one's blaming anybody in poverty. Age of awakening. No one's blaming no. I'm not. I don't blame the people in poverty for anything. I blame the government for the people in poverty. The government is so special and so beautiful. Oh, the government is so great. Oh, the government provides all. Then why is there poverty? They take all our money. They take our money. They extract our wealth. They redistribute it to who they see fit, and there's still poverty. Well, this government is supposed to be so great and so luscious and beautiful. Then why is there poverty in any country? They've extracted enough wealth from their subjects. There's enough money for there not to be poverty if the government was really doing what it's supposed to be doing. So I don't blame the people in poverty for being in poverty. I blame the government. Well, I have to blame them too. I have to blame also. You have to place the blame equally. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I'm out of here, guys. Nin6246 said, I appreciate your point of view. You sound like a volunteerist like myself. Yes. I agree with the volunteerist ideology, but I'm a pure anarchist, right? But yes, I do believe in volunteerism. Yes, absolutely. People should be able to decide and volunteer in the system that they are participating in. Mighty Man's Moose says, it ain't no truth you smoke. Oh, he going in on somebody. For sure. Anyway, much love, like, share, subscribe, and let's keep marching forward toward freedom by opting out. Peace.